about the traffic in Los Angeles. It says something that local officials warned motorists about a temporary roadwork closure on the 405 last year by calling it Carmageddon. Angelenos took the hint, and this weekend they're expected to steer clear of the latest 405 closure, named, of course, Carmageddon 2. That's how it is in L.A., a snarl of overstuffed freeways and commuters who keep their cool, except when they don't. KPCC's Stephen Cuevas has this profile of a punk rocker whose music expresses the insanity of L.A. traffic while extolling the virtues of public transit.
Couple of things you need to know about Eddie Solis. He lives in L.A., loves the band Kiss, and does not own a car.
Being someone who's from L.A., born and raised, and, having a few cars in my past, I saw the city much differently, through a different perspective, through the eyes of a bus rider.
Want to just go all the way to the back?
Sure. Line 18, Wilshire Western Station.
Just steps from the front door of his home, across the street from a tortilla factory in LA's Boyle Heights neighborhood, Solis catches a bus that connects him with the city's subway and the commuter train he catches to his day job at an indie record label in Hollywood.
It just opened me up to little neighborhoods, galleries, clubs, bars, just everything. Just seeing what's out there, little pockets of the city.
Solis's journeys aboard LA buses and subway cars informs a lot of the material on The New Los Angeles Part 1, Through the Eyes of a Bus Rider, the latest release by the singer-guitarist band It's Casual. In Solis's vision of a new Los Angeles, people abandon their cars, climb aboard public transit, and rediscover their communities. One song extols the virtues of the LA County Metropolitan Transit Agency's Easy Pass and the urban underbelly it introduces to the rider.
And that's a nod and homage to, the people who know what you could even go cheaper and really beat the system and really steer away from spending money on gas and oil profits and all that. Is all it takes for me to witness racial tension, for me to witness illegal aliens. It's not to paint a negative picture, it's just my perspective of what is seen.
Off the bus and back on the street, we make our way past a jazz saxophonist playing for pocket change and down a long escalator to catch a train. So, where are we now?
We're at the Red Line station, the Pershing Square station in downtown LA.
And what's our destination?
We're going to go downstairs another tier, and in about 5 minutes we're going to get on the Red Line going northbound.
Okay, let's go.
The Metro Red Line snakes from North Hollywood to downtown Los Angeles. It's the train that inspired It's Casual's signature tune and spawned a viral internet video. It was partly filmed late at night on a moving train as it hurtles from station to station. Solis thrashes away on his guitar and barks the lyrics, which celebrate the Red Line and call out the congested freeways that coil around Los Angeles.
Este es un tren del Metro Red Line a North Hollywood.
The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the 210, the freeways are not so nice.
The thread that comes out of the record that ties everyone together is just be alive, don't be a victim of having a car.
The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The red line, the red line.
An MTA spokesman said he couldn't comment on Eddie Solis's furious pro-Metro message, but the Red Line video was a hit at the offices of Move LA.
Eddie's done a good job. Thank you, Eddie.
It's the public transportation advocacy group headed by former Santa Monica Mayor Denny Zane. He liked the juxtaposition of Solis blissfully riding LA public transit in one scene with scenes of the band raging against those notorious freeway jams.
Eddie is all frantic when he talks about highways and so mellow when he's grooving on a skateboard and on the bus and on the Red Line. There's a metaphor for the transformation, from the, oh my God, I just got to get out of the traffic to, hey, this is cool, I can mellow out.
Or you can blast the tune like Too Many People as you claw your way across Los Angeles by car, bus, or skateboard.
There's too many people. I want them to go away. Even though I think they're so free.
Too Many People could also be a motto for It's Casual. Over the years, the band whittled itself down to a power duo of Solis and a rotating cast of drummers. So you may think the burly, bearded punk rocker just can't get along with freeways, with people, or his native LA. Not true.
I love it. I love everything about it. I've traveled throughout the U.S. many times, and I could never look forward enough to coming back. The weather, the different cultures, the landscape. I was just like, you know what? Now I know why everyone moves to L.A.
Solis will bring the love and the volume during a Red Line mini tour next month. It's Casual will play a different venue within walking distance of several Red Line metro stops from Union Station to West Hollywood. For the California Report, I'm Stephen Cuevas.
That's the California Report, a production of KQED Public Radio in San Francisco. Our director this week is Nina Thorson. Seal Muller is our technical producer. We had additional engineering from Danny Bringer and Howard Gelman. Thanks to Hank Hadley at KCBX. Our online team includes Lisa Pickoff-White, David Marks, and Don Clyde. Our interns are Catherine Borgeson and Rachel Johnson. Tyke Hendricks is our elections editor with production help from Tina Lauerberg. We had editing support from Paul Rogers. Victoria Malione is our associate senior producer. Ingrid Becker is our senior producer. The news director is Bruce Kuhn. I'm Rachel Myro. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend. This is the California Report.
Funds for the California Report are provided by the James Irvine Foundation, expanding opportunity for the people of California and supporting the California Report since its premiere in 1995. And the California Endowment. Health happens in schools at calendow.org. And Chevron, investing in renewables, strengthening communities, and creating jobs. More information at chevron.com.
The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the 210, the freeways are not so nice. The 101, the 405, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The red line, 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 the 210, the 605, the freeways are not so nice. The I-5, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The 101, the 405, the freeways are not so nice. The 605, the 101, the 101, the 101, the I-10, the 210, the 605, the 101, the 405, the I-10, the freeways are not so nice. The red line. The red line! 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 The red line!
Welcome to Los Angeles Nista, episode 116. This is a Burbank episode. I'm your show creator, producer, and host, Edward Solis. And my in-studio guest is Jason Weiner from Crowded Head. How are you, man?
Doing great, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming in. We've taken time to put this episode together about 2 months. And we had conversations, email exchanges. We've had some tours of facilities to articulate to the audience listening exactly what asset management is. Let's just make clear to the audience that we're going to talk about Burbank on the second half, that because, every episode is attached to an area. That's where you're established out of. And we haven't done much of Burbank, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, Burbank's a great place. I love it there.
Right. And there's, it's just, there's so many portals to do different things within and without. So let's talk about that. But the first half, we're going to talk about what you're involved in, and that's Crowded Head. Now, is it Crowded Head or Crowded Head Los Angeles?
Well, it's Crowded Head Industries. And, it's based in Los Angeles. That's
it. Asset management is your forte.
Yeah.
It's your, specialty. It's your niche. Now, I've done a lot of research after we spoke, and there's a lot of gray area with people that just don't know, that I feel that don't have a clear vision of what they should be offering. But when I connected with you and we spoke about Crowded Head Industries and the asset management services that you offer, it was a very streamlined and pristine system and piece of framework that you created. I was very impressed and very excited and enthusiastic. And in fact, I told a lot of people about this. And why don't you explain, as a professional, what asset management is?
Sure. Well, before everything went digital, we were working with tangible mediums. We were using tape. So when a project was complete, you had that tape, and that's what you would go back to use. Now that we're dealing with the digital realm, we have ones and zeros everywhere. So, for example, if we're talking about a record that was being made, the vocal overdubs could be living on someone's laptop while the rest of the instruments could be existing on someone else's computer in a different studio, in a different state, somewhere far, far away.
Or country.
Exactly. Right. It could be anywhere in this digital era that we live in.
Sure.
So what I do is I work with different content owners to help them put together all of their digital assets at the end of a project so that when they do need it, they can call upon it.
Now, a content owner, just so people are clear, could be someone like Brett Gerwitz from Epitaph, who owns a label.
Absolutely.
A production house that makes movies.
Mm-hmm.
They own a catalog of the movies they make.
Absolutely.
Or someone in a local band.
That
has 10 records out.
Absolutely. If you own some sort of content, you've created it, you put it on a medium, you are the owner, and you need to do something with that content if you care about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't care about it, well, why do it in the first place?
Right. So, I mean, if you're a professional or, someone striving to be at a professional level to do whatever you're doing for a living and want to leave your legacy installed after you're gone, that's a good way to do that, is to take care of it the correct way.
Exactly.
So as you're saying, if you're a content owner, you're able to serve these people.
Yeah. See, the problem that we had is once we left the analog world behind, there's no rules. We entered the wild, wild west. So there's all these different formats being used, different file formats, different media formats. Nothing was going together so that 10 years down the road, when somebody had to recall these files to do a remix or a remaster, they were finding lots and lots of corrupted files, lots of missing pieces, things where they thought they had everything they needed, but they're missing the most important part of that song because nobody went through it to check it to begin with. Because it was digital. Nobody knew what to look for.
Sure. Now, aside from your framework that you've created, the part of the deal is knowing where everything's at, having everything in one place. Let's take, for example, a record label catalog.
Sure.
It could be 30 titles or 300 or 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Having all the titles completely installed in one place and basically like a spreadsheet of all the details within the project.
That's called metadata.
That's metadata.
Exactly. So information about the data. So anything that could be associated with that particular file would then be associated inside the database and tagged to that file and follow it forever.
Got it. Have you ran across a lot of huge companies that have a great amount of catalog just being ignorant and not knowing?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's because it's so new.
It's ahead of the curve. I mean, it really is. It
really is. There needed to be something that was pulling all of this in, corralling all of this, because if not, when we go into the future 50 years and we try and reach this time in our music history, it's going to be gone. It's just going to be a big black hole. So somebody needed to come up with something. And there's a lot of like-minded individuals that have been coming up with different formats and ways of doing things over the last handful of years. And thankfully, we've kind of been spearheading this in this area.
Sure. Now, as far as your whole approach to the process, let's talk about one record. No matter how many content owners have access to how much catalog, let's talk about just one record.
Sure.
If whether it's a major or a kid out of his bedroom or in between, there's one record. How do you asset manage that versus just them dumping it on their hard drive?
Well, it's a trade, and that's kind of how you have to look at it. I hire somebody to do something specific. So, for example, if I need somebody to produce my record, I'm going to go hire a producer. I'm not going to go hire some kid with $200 that got an M-Box and have him do it in his bedroom.
Right, especially someone that's a producer and has proven historicals.
Exactly.
So you do it right and do it once.
Exactly. So if I need to have digital asset management done, if I need to have archival done properly, I have to find somebody who knows what they're doing. I've been doing this type of work for the better part of a decade now, and it's very tedious and very detail-oriented work. This is not something for your everyday person. It has to be somebody who's been doing this for a while that understands what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they don't want to see, and how to do this the right way. It's as easy as one illegal character that could destroy your entire archive. So you think that you've got it all right. You've put it on a hard drive, and one illegal character corrupts it. So you want to hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
Now, you see an illegal character. Some people know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Some people don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that happen.
Yeah. I mean, really, you're looking for...
And without bringing who that happened to, because you deal with a lot of, high-profile people. I mean, you've seen everything.
Yeah. It could be as... It could be as simple as somebody left a space in between two characters, an L and an R, and there shouldn't be a space there. And that file's now corrupted because when they went to pull it up on a different computer, on a PC or on a Mac or whatever, something didn't click and it didn't restore properly. And that's how easy it could be. So that's part of what we do. We do file forensics. We go through everything and make sure all of the files are exactly as they should be so that in the future, that content owner can call to it and know that it's exactly what it was and where it's supposed to be so that they can monetize it. They can make money off of that asset. That's part of the digital asset management. You want to make money off of the things you've created. You
That's
don't
why
just
it's an
want it
asset.
Exactly.
Right.
You don't just want it to sit there.
Now, let's talk about that really quick, because when you're in the game of music sync licensing, that goes into, commercials, movie trailers, TV shows, full feature films, independent films, video games, skate videos, all that stuff. Now, when you're, from my experience, when you're working with a music supervisor and they have faith in you and are using your stuff, for one, they want to deal with one person.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's like quick, it's okay, we need this, we need it now. And they want to make sure you're able to sign off on it. So it's in all these people's best interest to use Crowded Head Industries, because once you get them installed in your framework, everything's in one place, it's organized, and if they're at that level selling music, their assets, and they just need a guitar track from this song, a bass track from that song, they could be pulled quick.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't have that type of organization put in place, you could end up spending more money than what that licensing opportunity is willing to give you. So you need to get that instrumental, but that instrumental is on a DAT tape. So now you got to hire a studio. So you got to pay that studio hour. You got to pay that studio engineer to set it up, to transfer it, to then to break down, to put it on another medium for you So now you're
a disc or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
now you're $300 in the hole for that $150 licensing opportunity when all you needed to do was set it up properly from the beginning.
And that's why I said in the beginning, it's with this, you do it right and you do it right once.
Yep, never again.
If that's the investment, you're not scrambling.
Yeah, see, we used to think that when you finished a project, you'd go to mastering and it was done. That was it. But we're not making money the same way that we used to in the music industry.
Of sales.
Exactly. Our assets are really what we're looking to. And the further we can push them, the more access we have to them, the more longevity they have, the more money that we can make off of that, and the longer living these assets can keep going.
Right. I mean, you know, for me, the first time I got wind of this, you know, I was just really enthusiastic because it was so new and fresh. And I was like, my God, you know, Jason's ahead of the curve. I just feel really excited for you. And especially because it's the music industry.
Yeah.
But what you facilitate is not just for the music industry. It could be archiving my talk radio show.
Mm-hmm.
It could, you know, spoken word, movies.
Yeah.
It's all treated the same, right?
Yeah. See, that's kind of the cool part about this. See, I grew up in a video store, and so
yeah, tell that story.
For me, it's a very personal thing. I grew up in a video store, so it was all about putting things away in the right place and learning about all the different...
So did your parents own it?
Yeah, my father owned that video store, and it was right outside of Washington, D.C.
So how much work went into like restocking, like stocking new releases and all that stuff?
Oh, so it was great and it was terrible all at the same time, because back in this time we were in VHS tape, and it was years before we got to DVD. So every single piece of catalog had to be typed in. All the little pieces that what we now know as metadata had to be entered into the system. And then when we went to DVD and computers, we had to then do it all again. That was my job. And I got used to doing that type of thing because, you know, I was 10 years old, 12 years old, and that's what my job was, to do whatever my dad said.
Right.
But I got used to doing that. And you're typing in the information, you're typing in copyright, you're typing in the director, the actors,
catalog
numbers. That's
metadata.
It's exactly.
Director, executive producer,
exactly.
Studio.
So I got used to doing that type of thing. And then when I came out here and I started doing that out here, I was working with music, but then I started working with film a little bit as well, because that's very, very dear to me growing up at a video store. And
movies were a big part of your life.
It really kind of shaped who I am.
That's cool.
In a lot of ways. And so when I started developing Atom Cloud, which is what we do with this asset management system for Crowded Head, it's absolute digital asset management. And so when I started developing that, it was important that it wasn't just music. It had to be absolute. It had to be music. It had to be film. It had to be documents. It had to be images. So anything that could be digitized and its creative content had to be able to live inside of this system. I wanted to be able to go to a content owner, a band, a record label, and say, hey, you don't have to put all of this stuff spread across all of these different places. Just put it right here. Here's your password. Go. It's at your fingertips. You can use it whenever you need it.
That's unreal. Now let's talk about the Atom Cloud.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the cherry on top, literally.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean,
fantastic.
so not only are you facilitating your these, you know, asset management clients physically, but it's in a cloud.
So we've got a mirrored server, and we're dealing with we have a server on one side of the country and then on the other side of the country. And then it's backed up redundantly on 3 separate hard copies. So there is no chance for anything to go wrong with these files. If there was a chance, one of the other copies would supply the missing file if there were ever something like that. It is a totally redundant and robust system. Nothing like it has ever been made.
Do you have a real life story of a client or someone you've worked with just not being organized and losing business?
Oh, goodness.
Ever have like, you know, okay, we need this, or, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I told you we should have done it this way.
Yeah, there was a client, it was a major client it was a licensing opportunity, and they ended up spending $800 trying to search and rescue this title that they never even found. Like they did not even find the
couldn't
title,
find
but
it.
they spent close to $1,000 just trying to find it. And that's because this existed before we started doing what we do.
Right.
You know, so the file they were looking for was from the 90s or something, and we didn't have that in place back then.
The fact of the matter is that this service also pertains to photography.
It does.
How about all of these amazing photographers from America that have gone on to document, whatever genre that they focus on, whether it's music or it's architecture, sports. I mean, these guys take a lot of photos per shoot, whether it's a live event or a produced, set.
Yeah, and they need access to it. Because that's their livelihood. You know, they need to, in a sense, license it just like you would a song. And if they're having to go to hard drives, if they're having to pull from their computer, the chances of losing something is really high. It was important to me that photography was added into this because my brother's a photographer. My brother does a lot of photography for...
He's a professional.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He does photography for AP Magazine, for Rolling Stone Magazine.
All the big major music publications.
Yeah, exactly.
On
And
the
the
newsstands.
record labels and whatnot. Yeah,
Awesome.
Anytime you pass a newsstand, you'll see a cover that he's probably shot. He's a fantastic photographer. And so when I started developing this, it was important to me that he had a place for his stuff to go as well.
Wow.
When I was a kid, I had Green Day on the wall of my closet or in my bedroom and whatever. And 2 years ago, my brother was shooting covers of Green Day.
How ironic,
this
right?
is my younger brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. But when I realized the caliber of work that he was doing, it's like, I've got to do something that's going to benefit him as well.
That's cool. See, there's good intention behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think doing what it is that I'm doing, you kind of have to have passion for it. You have to have good intentions because otherwise, who would want to do this? It's librarian work. It is. It's being an archivist.
But
you have to really love that stuff.
You're archiving this stuff on a whole new level with this technology that's available, and people haven't been using it the way they should be to facilitate all this content, whether it's 30 movies or 3,000 movies.
Mm-hmm. It's not even just for professional stuff. I have my stuff on there. So my own personal home movies of my children and photos and music and everything that I've created, that exists there too. It will never disappear.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now let's talk about the reality. A lot of people feel very safe when they, go on Amazon and buy a hard drive for $60.
Yeah.
And I always talk about this because I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And, it's not the most reliable thing. Now, can you explain? Because some people don't know anything about this. They have hard drives and they just don't know the reality.
Well, a hard drive it's kind of like a ticking time bomb. You never know when it's going to explode.
That's just the way it is.
It really is. It's got moving parts. It heats up. It expands. It cools down. It could live for 5 years. It could live for 5 minutes. So you could put your precious work on there that you have just spent a year creating and then turn on the button and poof, it's gone.
So if I told you, oh, hey, Jason, I just put all 116 Los Angeles Nisa episodes on these hard drives, 10, and they're all brand new and they all died.
That would be a horrible thing to happen.
But you wouldn't be surprised.
And you never know what's going to happen with those things. That's the problem. With hard drives, you never know what's going to happen. And so until we get to a point where that there are no new moving parts, and we're getting closer, we've got solid state hard drives that are starting to come out, but they're at such a small amount of memory, amount of space on there. You're looking at 250 gigabytes for the file size on there, whereas our normal drives that people are buying, consumers are buying 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte drives. You could not afford a 3 terabyte solid state hard drive. So until
how much do you go for?
Oh my goodness! We're talking thousands. If you're looking at a 3 terabyte solid state, I can't even imagine what that would be. But they're putting 250 and maybe 500 gigabyte solid state drives into new Macs.
Wow!
So those are the highest that you're really seeing in the Macs. And so until we see a complete move away from solid state, away from moving part hard drives, they're dangerous. So you need to find a place to put them. So we use LTO tapes for our physical media. That's a standard media. It's got several years of a roadmap to the future, but that's just for our hard copy. Then we've got our mirrored servers that we use.
Very
so, I mean,
cool.
you're looking at 5 redundant copies of your archive on a media that is not going anywhere versus on a hard drive, you really have no idea what's going to happen. Those are great to put things on and move them around from place to place,
Right.
but not for your archive, not for what you
For
really...
your master archive.
Yeah, if you're using it to like work with, dude, fantastic. I have no problem with them, but not to put your hard-earned work on.
Sure.
For the long term.
Have there been all walks of life in the music business? And I'm bringing that up because I'm attached to the music business. I'm sure people understand and appreciate it, but I think some people, like I said, you're ahead of the curve. Like some people aren't ready for it.
Oh, it's a tough thing to swallow because if you don't have a budget for it, how are you going to pay for it? And that's
right. I mean, you're not going to do all this work for free, obviously.
No, I mean, and that's the way
this
that
is a
people,
company.
Yeah, and people look at it that way too. It's how do I afford to do this? Well, if you're making money off of that asset, obviously you can afford to do it.
And it's in your best interest to make it easier for you.
Yeah, well, you're going to make more money off of that asset if you have it available to you than if you have to keep on going to get it over and over and over again. So it's absolutely in your best interest. If we're talking about going forward, any record labels, any creative content owners going forward, you should absolutely do something similar to this going forward. Going backwards, looking at your catalog, find things that are worth it. You know, like those are the things that are making you money right now. Those are the things that you want to concentrate on. But it's a difficult thing to make people swallow. Hey, you need to come up with X amount of money right now to archive the stuff that happened 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. It's very tricky because when you take a body of work and a budget that you didn't have built in,
Mm-hmm.
then you got to make a decision. But that shouldn't be like a black and white decision because you would come in as a consultant and say, hey, this is how much you have. Let's do this much at a time so it's in your budget.
Yeah,
so we can work together.
So
it's not just lights off. I'm not going to work with you. There's a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, well, there's absolutely a lot of wiggle room. But if you think about it this way too, the longer you wait on something like this, we're not going backwards. We're in digital realm.
In fact, it feels like time's moving faster than ever.
Exactly. So,
I mean,
one way or another, you're going to have to do this. That's the thing. This is ahead of the curve, but that means the curve is coming. You're going to have to do something with your digital assets if you care about them, if you want to keep them, regardless. So if you do it now, cool. You're probably going to save a good amount instead of going forward and then, oh, well, I guess I really should have done that. Well, it's going to cost a whole lot more because now you have a whole lot more to deal with. If you are being proactive, if you're like looking ahead and thinking about the future, then it's going to be a lot wiser for you.
Got it. Now, can you articulate like when someone does open an account with you for asset management, how simple it is once everything is up there to get what they're looking for? I mean, it's like to get a password.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do it a couple of different ways. It all depends on the tier of projects that you're working.
Yeah.
Exactly. But as simple as this, if you have a project and I have QC'd it, I've verified that everything is how it's supposed to be. It's as simple as a phone call or an email and a couple minutes, and you have what you need. Yeah, a phone call or email to me, or if you're on the Premier version of like the Atom Cloud and you have your own access to it, it's as simple as a mouse click, and you can do it yourself 24/7.
And it would deliver the it's stems.
Yeah, so
for 2 songs for a license.
Yeah, say I had somebody that I needed to send stems to that's in Japan, and I'm here in California, and I needed to get it to them right now. I go onto the Atom Cloud, I click the files that I need, I type in the address and hit a button. Minutes later, the guy's got it in Japan. It could be audio files, it could be video files, it could be images. It doesn't really matter. It's sent on high-speed transfer, never touches the internet. It is...
I need to stop you right there. That's one of the most huge components that sold me on it was the fact that it never touches the internet.
Never. Your files are completely safe. Nobody could possibly touch this. This is under the same type of security as our United States, like top secret documents.
Right.
Yeah, it is great. There could not be a better way, a more secure way to archive and deliver your files. Because that's the other thing. This is a delivery system. I can deliver any of these files wherever I want to whoever I want. I just have to set it up ahead of time. So if you are always sending to a particular mastering studio and you just want to set that up as a destination, you got your files in there. It needs to go to this mastering company. Boom, it's there. You just hit a button.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. We're entering the Minority Report era, where I'm going to start thinking and the file's going to go where it needs to go.
What have you learned, like the stuff you learned early on in your life at the video store?
Yeah.
What have you applied to that? From that, I mean, what have you taken from that and applied to this asset management?
It's really a lot about the detail-oriented way of how I go about what I do.
Dotting your I's and crossing every T.
Every last bit of it, I look at everything. It's important to make sure that you have all those little tiny pieces of information there because it's not just about you at that point. That's kind of the part about this that I like is that I'm involved in something that's bigger than me. This is about history. I'm a musician, and I spent a long time as a musician. And as musicians do, we get to a point where we're like, screw this. I'm never doing it again. I hate this, And I remember going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this is the summer that I was like, forget it. I'm never doing this again. And I spent a lot of time in there one afternoon. And I was just totally overcome by the history of it, by all the people that were involved and just creating something for me, something that I could look at, something that I could listen to. And it was a lot more than just the artists, And so when I came back and I started working in music again and realizing that what I was doing was creating a portal to the future generations to go back and listen to this music. The reason that they're going to be able to listen to these bands is because I'm allowing it, that I'm doing that work. And that made it important to me. That made it special. That made it so that every last piece of information that I enter in there was important. I had to get it right. So, and I took that from the video store, that attention to detail.
Yeah. And then that inspiration that you drew from at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That was all out of passion.
Yeah. I couldn't believe by the end of that day that I was willing to walk away from something that was so important, that could touch so many different people. Yeah, absolutely. It was a very, very big turning point.
Very cool. What do you think, as far as music goes, since we're both very connected to music as musicians and through the industry, how much music do you think has been lost?
Oh, it's
since
horrible.
Since this is your forte. I mean, not even an educated guess, but I mean, there's been a lot lost, I bet.
Well, we had that big fire over in the UK.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of independent record labels lost their stock in that. And the masters weren't necessarily lost on everything, but there were some masters that were lost. And then there was the fire a handful of years ago on the Warner Brothers lot. Or was it the Warner? There was
Universal.
The Universal lot. I'm sorry, the Universal lot.
7 years ago, right?
Yeah, and that fire went for several hours, and there had to have been some things that were lost in there, but thankfully they have multiple vault locations as well. The problem is that when everything went digital, people stopped caring. People stopped dotting their I's and crossing their T's, stopped doing track documentation. They stopped labeling things. So I've seen record labels say, I'm pretty sure this is our highest grossing record of all time on these 3 unmarked DAT tapes. I'm pretty sure. Can you figure it out for me? And lo and behold, it was their highest grossing record of all time on these 3 unmarked DAT tapes. But how easy could that have been to have been
thrown
lost?
in the trash? Oh, we don't need
you know what I mean?
DAT tapes.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I could fit all 3 of them in one pocket.
Yeah.
So things have been lost without a doubt,
Right.
and
I'm sure there's plenty of stories.
yeah, and we're trying to move towards a future of a standard, a way that everything will be properly archived so that there is no loss. Space is becoming cheaper and cheaper. Bandwidth is becoming cheaper and cheaper. These are the things that we've been waiting for as far as being able to archive and have access to high resolution files. We have websites now called HD Tracks and other high res sites that are offering high resolution audio. These are things that we couldn't do before. And the more and more that we're doing on the digital archival side, the more and more we're doing on the metadata side, the more access we're going to have to these larger high resolution files. We'll be able to kick the MPEG to the curb forever.
Wow. Wow. Now, speaking of which, it's funny because it seems like the quality control in the studio when you're producing a record is everything's going back to the analog sound.
It's definitely going in cycles, right? Like
Right.
there's a lot more excitement right now for the analog sound.
Boards and-
Yes, I think it has a lot to do with Sound City.
Of course.
I watched that again the other day.
Did you? It's amazing.
Oh, it really is. I had very similar feelings watching that as what I did when I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have a lot of respect for that man, Dave Grohl. Everything that he touches has passion in it.
Completely.
It's not. When I first got out here and started working in music, I was a little bit disenchanted because, everything I grew up wanting the record industry to be
wasn't.
It really was nothing like it.
Okay, let me ask you. So what did you want it to be?
I wanted it to be like the movies,
People living and breathing it and taking it home. And
yeah.
we're not leaving
Sunset
till...
Strip, man. And I realized that there's a lot more to the business part of the music business.
It's more business than music.
It is. And so when you find that artist, you see that guy out there that he understands that, but he's still just putting that passion out there. He knows what the fan is looking for, and he gives it to them. Dave Grohl, for example, and what he's doing with the documentaries that he's been doing, that type of thing.
Yeah, the Foo Fighters one was great. Remember?
It is. And the Foo Fighters one was fantastic.
And Sound City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's bringing a lot of attention to the analog side, the way of picking up an acoustic instrument and playing it, learning a craft. And that's kind of where we go back to what we were talking about earlier. What I do as a craft is very much a lot of things I've done in my past, tattooing.
Right.
And this is learning a craft.
Your chops.
Exactly.
And it's amazing because I'm going to steer off really quick.
Sure.
I think technology is great. Smartphones, Google phones, iPhones, Apple laptops, all that stuff. Crowded Head Industries providing the service that you do. Great Pro Tools, rigs, outboard gear. All this stuff is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that because there's even more, economical versions of software, that people have this idea that just because they have it in their bedroom, they're a record producer, or they're an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I hate to break the news to a lot of these people, and, a lot of them are my friends that just don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you need to learn chops.
Yeah.
You can't just, go to Guitar Center and buy a $400 piece of software and install it and think you're making real records. I mean, you got to have ears. You got to have the right mics, a great place to record. And it's a craft.
Yeah.
It's a craft of being an engineer. It's a craft of mixing. That's a whole nother craft.
Completely.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. How humbling is that, trying to learn how to mix?
Yeah. Just, now I know why, the real big guys are just like, I don't mix my own stuff. You kidding me? No. I mean, your ears are so
myself
tired.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a balance. A part of the craft is discipline and being selfless. We're talking about engineering and mixing records and even mastering. You got to let your ears rest.
Mm-hmm.
And
those guys only do that. True mastering engineers. That's all they do, because their ears are trained for that. And they're not mixers. They're not regular engineers. They are mastering engineers. And anybody who says they're a mastering engineer and has not learned that craft,
oh boy.
I mean, it's night and day. You can listen to a true mastering engineer's work versus somebody who did it in their bedroom. And,
Right.
It's no contest.
Yeah, and in defense to all my friends and allies that, have sustained a decent living making, big records, engineering, mixing, and producing and or mastering.
Continue to create. I love it.
Continue to create and just keep up the great work, because not everyone has those chops.
Yeah.
They have the software, but they don't have the chops.
And
the ears.
there's also those guys out there that can run circles around everyone else with a little piece of software in the room. There's just these geniuses out there that know how to do it.
Exactly.
But those are like the one in a million types of guys.
Yeah. And going back to the beginning of this rant I went on was, people want a very real sound in the studio, and that's why analog and 2 inches back.
Mm-hmm.
You track on that and maybe dump it into Pro Tools afterwards, right? But no matter what you're creating, whether it's jazz or metal or punk or rock, hard rock, anything, it's like, you want a great sound, a very analog, old school sound that sounds huge, like a Zeppelin record, but you want to access the ability of all the technology.
Well, yeah. I mean, so make it on 2 inch, and then you're going to slam it to a 1/2 inch and make your master out of that. Awesome. But like you said, you need access to it. You're going to want to make something out of this. I mean, if you're just creating art, hey, more power to you, and that's great. But if you're paying your bills with your music and you want to create,
and you're funding your career,
you're funding your career with your music. You want to have access to it. You want to be able to use these files, these songs to pay your bills. So digitizing your work when it's done, having it in a complete package, if you will, so that you can access it whenever you need to at the drop of a hat is so crucial and so important. And anybody who does that is forward thinking. They're not only forward thinking, they're being proactive. They are going to be ahead of the curve. They're going to make more money than the rest of their cohorts before everybody else catches on. And as soon as everybody else catches on, it's just going to become a standard. It has to be done. It will be done.
It will be an industry standard sooner or later.
Oh, yeah. 20 years from now, this is going to be like an old hat question. Like, this is not even something that we're going to think about. Of course it was archived properly.
Like, after you master it, you asset management it.
Yeah. I mean, everybody will have asset managers. Like, what I'm doing is not going to be new. This is going to be something that everyone is doing if you have content.
Very well put. So we're going to take a music break.
Cool.
And we're going to come back. We're going to talk more with Jason Weiner from Crowded Head Industries here in Los Angeles. This is the 116th episode of Los Angeles Nista. I'm the show creator, producer, and host, Edward Solis. This episode is brought to you by Amoeba Music, Death Wish Skateboards, Baker Skateboards, Two Felon Skate Shop in Whittier, and we'll be right back.
To me,
They're saying there are no Mars anymore, none. So I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna make a choice to give myself away for something bigger than myself. And my name is for others in the wake of my death. About 1 million more, so we got an army for us versus them. And I'm not afraid, because, well, no, it's not us. We've got an army of us versus them. But look, it's not us versus them. It's just us, my friend. It's plural. Let's stop wondering and start acting. Stake your claim. They say there's no place for you here, so you better make one.
And that's the lesson for today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your presenter, your exhibition, your example. So it's about time I go in and take my own life. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you. Oh, shit.
Hey, welcome back to the 116th episode of Los Angeles Nista. I'm the show creator, producer, and host, Edward Solis. This is a Burbank episode, and I want to thank Jason Weiner for coming in. How you doing?
Doing great, Eddie. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, fantastic. Every episode, we always talk about a certain area geographically of Los Angeles or SoCal. We talk about being car-free. The first hour was fantastic. You had a lot to offer as far as knowledge and insight on your company, Crowded Head Industries, and asset management. I mean, it's good for production houses, labels, independent musicians without a label, doctors' offices that need to archive medical records.
Yeah. Anything.
But that's the truth, right?
If it's digital, if it's ones and zeros, it needs a home, and this is its home.
Photographers.
Yeah.
Now, you're from Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Okay. When did you move to Los Angeles?
I moved to Los Angeles about 8 years ago.
Okay. When you moved to Los Angeles, just the geography and weather, did it live up to its expectations?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you right there because the Los Angeles Nista house photographer, Adam Murray, who's here, he, he's from Santa Barbara.
Okay.
So he's pretty much in the same vein as L.A., but one thing I wanted to bring to light was Mother Nature never lets anyone down when it comes to L.A. People come from all over. Adam, really quick.
Is this on?
Yeah. I just want to have you chime in. So Adam Murray is the house photographer for Los Angeles Nista. 116 episodes, he's put up with me and delivered photos. Santa Barbara has its own vibe going on, but it's definitely not exactly like L.A. L.A. has its L.A. weather.
This is like nothing like L.A. Well, yeah, weather-wise, similar, but it's more temperate. Like, it'll usually stay in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then Carp is a smaller town. Like that, the shore kind of cuts in a little bit, and it'll get like tons of fog, kind of like all the time for no definite reason or whatever. But L.A. definitely gets hotter for sure.
Right. And that's the point I'm trying to make. And you, as someone from Washington, D.C., the weather and the geography lived up to its expectations.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay. See, we're talking about the music industry not living up, but Mother Nature does.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So I say the music industry did not necessarily live up to what my expectations were. I watched movies like Airheads and
Encino Man.
Absolutely. My dream growing up, I was going to be a rock star on Sunset Boulevard. That's what I was going to do.
And that's that.
And that was it. When I was 16, I decided I was moving to LA, and that was it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when I got out of my car day one on Hollywood Boulevard, I stepped foot on the street, and I was like, I'm home. This is great. I felt home. Like, I've moved around my entire life, and I've never felt home until I got here. The second I got
felt
here,
just by your foot.
Oh, the second I stepped on that dirty pavement, I was like, I am home. This is great. I love it here.
Wow.
And I never want to move anywhere else. I'm not saying I never would, because you never know what's going to happen, but I never want to. I love it here. Every day I walk out of my house, it's like a vacation. The weather hits me. I don't feel anything. I've lived in Georgia. I've lived in Virginia. I've lived in Arizona. All those places are death at certain point of the year. Every single day, I can walk out in my boxer shorts, and I love it. In the winter,
barefooted.
I feed my dog in my boxer shorts with nothing on my feet, and it's like 60 degrees at 7 in the morning.
Yeah. Blue sky.
Yeah. And there's snow higher than where I'm sitting back in Virginia right now. Like it's like 2 feet, 3 feet deep, something like that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, so the weather's beautiful. I mean, we've already established that.
Yeah.
But this particular 2014 winter is like nothing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, we're gonna pay for it in a big way. But I mean, I'm loving it while we're living
how are we gonna
through
pay
it.
For it.
Oh, we're gonna die. But
what is it? Earthquake weather?
No, I mean this is the weather is way too nice. Something bad's gonna happen. Like
exactly.
But while we're enjoying it, I'm gonna enjoy it. It's okay.
Okay. Here's the deal. Now let's just get intuitive really quick.
Yeah.
Because the other day I looked at my mom and I go, I'm just thinking something really big and bad's gonna happen. This is way too nice.
Yeah.
It's off balance, dude.
Something bad is afoot.
Now the thing about it, whether I want to admit it or not, is I'm not paranoid. I'm not superstitious, but I'm from here, and I've experienced a lot of earthquakes.
Yeah,
I was born in '75, so I experienced the 87, Whittier earthquake.
Okay.
6.0, 5.9. And then the Northridge, which was huge.
Yeah, that was the one that the overpass collapsed, right? Yeah.
Dude, that was on like Martin Luther King. I think it was on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
Or the day before or the week after. It was like on a Monday too. The funny thing is, those and other earthquakes that took place that were smaller, that weren't as talked about, I've always noticed this weird, like a day or two before, this weird kind of reaction the Earth has with weather. And it's not just hot, it's a weird hot. Like not a normal hot, like where it's just like it stops breathing.
Yeah.
It's not like humid. It's just
stagnant a little bit.
Very stagnant, like there's no energy moving. And so I have my theories that earthquake weather exists. People think it do. Some people think it don't. I think it's like everything's in sync. The moon is a controller of tides.
Yeah.
The earthquakes.
Yeah.
The weather's abnormal. It's all connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I believe that it's all connected. Definitely. I feel like
It's
there's been
common
a
sense,
handful.
right?
Oh, it definitely. I mean, it just does. It makes sense.
Right.
I feel like there's been a handful of earthquakes recently in the last few days.
Yeah. And
Right.
like a couple
either
months
that or
before.
there's something wrong with me, but I feel like things have been kind of rolling over the last few days.
Exactly. So the weather's amazing. You know, for me as a born and raised Angelino, winter exists, but it's not on calendar.
Yeah, on a calendar. There are dates that exist on the calendar.
It does not exist in real life no more.
No. I see friends that are on tour posting like their little Instagram screenshots of the weather of wherever it is that they are. It's like -2 degrees and stuff like that. They're in Montana or
I can't
whatever.
even imagine that.
And I go outside and it's 73 degrees, you know? Like I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt and shorts or something.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's funny is, the evenings, I mean, the coldest it gets is like lower 50s.
Yeah, and we get really breezy evenings, but yeah, 50s.
No one's
something
snowed
like that.
in. No one's shelving their way out.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, even with your experience 8 years in Los Angeles, can you like testify that this latest winter that we're in the middle of has been the most beautiful?
Oh, absolutely. The most beautiful. It is gorgeous every single day. It's verging on hot some days, you know,
It
because
is.
that's the one thing a lot of people don't understand that don't live here is that in the different areas of Los Angeles, it's 10 degrees hotter or colder. So if you're in Burbank, it could be 88 degrees, but then if you go over the hill and you're in Hollywood, it could be 78 degrees. And then you go
downtown,
down.
it's 73.
Exactly. And then you get down to Santa Monica and it's 65. You know, it's
Because
all
LA is
within like
so
15, but it's really 15 miles. It's really not that far. It's just the hills that are trapping in
The geography.
Yeah,
It's very
exactly.
special geography.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's winter on calendar, but it doesn't exist. And I don't know if myself, I've been kind of thrown off a little, like my meter.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice and I love it, but it's just like, there wasn't no Christmas season, there wasn't no New Year's season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, I kind of left that all behind me. And
We moved forward. Well, tell us about DC right now.
Well, I left DC in 2004 and I moved to Athens, Georgia from there. So I had my last winter in 2004 and it was horrible. We're talking snow over top of cars. We took 3 days to dig out our cars just so we could leave the parking lot. It was terrible. And
horrible.
I had enough, you know, that was the last snow I ever saw. I moved to Georgia from there and came out here. So I've not had a single cold weather winter since 2004.
You know, it's really funny because I got friends, you know, in Malibu on Instagram, like putting video
Yeah.
on Christmas Day at the beach.
Yeah.
And you look at the blue sky, there's not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah. That's what it's like in Burbank every day. Oh, every single day. And it's not like that in all parts of Southern California, I've noticed too. But in Burbank, it is blue, clear skies.
And you get the dark brown, healthy hills.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then you got some lush parks. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Do you still have a lot of roots in DC, like friends and family?
I do. I have some really, really close friends back there.
And they give you the weather report. I mean, of course, you could look it up.
They're all miserable. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I remember last year there was a 10-hour traffic jam on the freeway in the snow. I think it was like February, but everybody got stuck, and there were people that were stuck in the same place for 10 hours.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, how could you live in a place like that on purpose? It's like it's like living in Arizona.
Like, I'm going to live here, and that's that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You get stuck. But I see the same thing when I lived in Arizona too. I mean, it's hotter than the sun. Like, why would one person want to live there?
Arizona is a terrible place.
It is a horrible place. There were 3 serial killers at the same time when I was living there.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, because the sun just melts their brain.
That's real.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not even kidding.
Wait. What year was this?
This was 2006. So okay, check it out. So we're going to go back to D.C. I just left Washington, D.C., where we had the D.C. sniper. And everybody had heard about the D.C. sniper. He was just killing people left and right. They were hiding out in the trunk of an old car and shooting people. And so, but the clues that the police had was that it was a white van, a white worker van. And around Washington, D.C., you can't go 2 blocks without seeing 75 white worker vans. They're everywhere. So everybody was just terrified. And you'd get out to pump your gas and you dive back into your car so you wouldn't get shot. And that's what was going on. People were getting
people like pumping the diving back in.
Yeah, because people got shot.
That was pretty funny, dude. That sucks.
It was terrible. People were getting shot at the gas pump. They got shot walking their dogs. It was terrible. So then I moved from there to Arizona, where there were 3 serial killers, one of which was a sniper pair. It was terrible. It was like it was following me everywhere.
It was a sniper parody?
Sniper pair.
2 of them?
2 of them.
What?
So, the DC sniper turned out to be 2 as well. But it was just terrible, terrible timing that I happened to move both of those places at that time. But DC, take away the sniper issue, because that was only 1.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic place. I really love it there. Take away the winter times and the summer times, and you've got 2 really usable seasons. You've got fall and spring, and it's gorgeous during those times.
Yeah.
You've got the Washington D.C. area, which has the mall and the all the museums and everything down there, and the public transportation. The metro takes you everywhere. Now
let's talk about this because we're going to get very insightful with walking, being car free, using public transportation and buses. I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Go.
But let's talk a little more about Burbank in general. Now, Burbank, what's amazing is when you drive up some of the streets, you see how there's a lot of post-production.
Yeah.
Houses.
Yeah, tons of studios.
And that was just the way Southern California was set up. I mean, you go to Hollywood, you make stuff, and then you get it mixed or mastered or edited in Burbank.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where people go to buy 2-inch tape still. For some reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all
There's
those
a
kind
lot
of
of stuff like that.
It's all those kind of. Now, what's the main drag? Is it Magnolia?
Yeah, we've got Magnolia, and I actually live right over there in that off of Magnolia and Burbank. Yeah, it's a beautiful area.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the history, because of Warner Brothers and NBC. I mean, I always learn something and see something new when I'm driving up Magnolia. Going from like North Hollywood into Burbank.
Yeah.
And just looking at like all the post-production houses, that always amazes me because then you see the coffee shops and you see the cleaners and they're all like reminiscent of like celebrities and
and you've seen all of them in movies growing up too. They've all been in tons of them.
Exactly. So when it comes to Burbank, where do you like to go and spend time with family?
There's a lot of great parks in Burbank, and
tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Lincoln Park, which is over at the Burbank Library, which is fantastic. I've got small children, and so you got the library, and they've got a park with a fenced-in park right there. So that's great. That's like a mile walk from where I live, and there's another park which is another same distance, really, just in a different direction. There's just like a mile half a mile to a mile in any direction, and I've got a park that I can go to.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I know more or less where you live. I got a close and dear friend that lives in that area. There's a lot of parks, and they're all well kept.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it could be go any way in LA.
Yeah, it really could. Burbank is
even in nice
like
areas.
Pleasantville.
Even in nice areas, I've seen bad parks. Not like bad people are hanging out, but just like nothing really happening. Like it doesn't look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And see that was something I'm really picky about, because coming from the DC, Virginia area, we have a lot of really wide open spaces, lots of big parks. And when I first came out here and I lived in Van Nuys and stuff like that,
the Valley, bro,
you can't there's no parks there, at least not ones that you want to hang out in.
There's rehearsal studios.
Yeah, there are plenty of rehearsal studios. Exactly. There's Sound City.
Yeah.
But you know what, Burbank was different in that sense. There were parks, there was places to walk, there's accessibility, you know. So
speaking of which, walking, you know, Jason, you and I, we have both some lineage between us, and it's about, you know, taking the bus and public transportation, specifically the Red Line. Mm-hmm. There's a nice trail in Burbank.
Yeah, the Chandler Bike Path.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, the Chandler Bike Path.
Yeah, I've been on that with my friend. Yeah, like back in the day.
It stretches quite a ways. It starts at Victory, and it goes all the way up till you get to the North Hollywood Metro station at the Red Line. And I believe it picks up again after that and goes further into the valley, and it goes all the way out to like where Pierce College is, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's like a 10-mile.
Yeah, it's a really long path. I know that there is a section that does not connect, and I'm not sure where that section is, but it picks up again somewhere after the North Hollywood station. Yeah, it's great. You can, if you've got kids, you get on that bike path and just go up and down all afternoon because it's sunny every single day here.
Dude. No, I mean, you know what's amazing is I did a lot of recording in Burbank last 10 years. And I've seen that path, the Chandler path, put to use. That's what I'm saying. And it was like, you know, families.
Yeah.
You know,
Halloween.
Oh, dude. Oh, is that the portal?
Oh, it's great. It's great, man. Yeah.
And to get to all the neighborhoods?
Well, on Halloween, if you've got kids, you go up and down Chandler, and you've got houses on either side. So you really don't have to go down the side streets where it gets dark or anything like that. And kids are safe because they're on this bike path that cars don't cross over.
The cement's really white. Like you could see the path.
Yeah, and there's lights everywhere and stuff like that. And it's perfect. So and the houses that are along that bike path get really, really like decorated up nice. And
you go on that side or that side, right?
Yeah, and you just go that side, you walk up, and then you walk down the other side, and you go home.
That's great. No, I mean, simple things like that aren't installed in some communities, you know, it leads people to danger.
It does, you know, because what are they going to do if they don't have that type of access to like harmless things? You know, you're going to find things to keep your interest.
Right.
You know, we used to do bad stuff when I was a kid. Yeah, we did bad stuff. We didn't have access to things sometimes. So
you get bored and frustrated, right?
Yeah, and you blow something up.
Yeah. On Halloween, right? Like,
exactly.
Let's scare these people, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's called the Chandler Bike Path.
Yeah. The Chandler Bike Path.
Yeah, and I've seen you know, families, complete families. I've seen, you know, the fathers with kids or mothers with kids, maybe like nannies, you know, with kids. And I've seen like just like groups of adults or just singles.
Yeah, I walk my dogs.
Walking and running with their dogs or by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen guys on bikes or just like hauling ass on a skateboard.
Yeah.
But, you know, shades on and just totally, you know, old school shirt off. But like you can see like the suntan lotion.
When I first moved to Burbank, it was in 2007. And I lived in a townhouse very briefly here and in Burbank. And I had to move away because the people that owned that townhouse were moving back into it. But I remember thinking to myself, this is where I have to end up. This is a beautiful area. It's fantastic. There's no crime. I'd already had my first daughter at that point.
That's awesome.
You know, and I was like, hell, if I'm moving out to like Valencia or Simi, that's so far, you know, and it's just like the desert. It's like Arizona, You know,
That's very far.
Yeah. And so I work in Burbank, and so living there was
Live and work in Burbank.
Live and work in Burbank. My kids go to school in Burbank, and Burbank schools are fantastic. Yeah, you know, I really don't think I could say enough good things about it. The fact that I can walk anywhere I want to go. I mean, I've walked to the airport before. I mean,
What?
Dude, I mean, it's 2 miles. How hard is it to walk 2 miles?
So you had to fly out?
Yeah, I had to fly out. So I walked to the airport. I had a backpack and I walked.
So you walked from your house to the airport with a backpack?
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, it's 2 miles.
It's not hard.
No, it really isn't. We got legs, man.
Yeah.
No, it's I'm not bagging on anybody who doesn't want to walk. I understand, especially in Los Angeles, it's a difficult thing to do. There's cars everywhere, and walking it's not very friendly city for walking.
Yeah. I mean, there was that song Nobody Walks in LA.
Yeah. But if you want to, we have the best weather in the world. You know, I mean, it's not like you're battling the elements to do it. You can get out there and do it and not have to worry about torrential downpours or like anything like that.
There's just no excuses here. That's the way I look at it. As far as, you know, you don't have to shovel your way out of your house. The driveway. It's, you know, 365. It's like always looking great, and and people are feeling great. They're being active. There's something for everyone. You know, so for me, the Burbank landscape is very interesting. I've spent, you know, a lot of time there through a friend I still make music with, and I've always had great experiences. You know, I like the independent spirit.
Oh,
the coffee
great.
shops.
Yeah, all the mom and pop shops going up and down Magnolia.
You know, the grocery stores. There's like those old school coffee shops. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The kind of place you want to hang out and get some work done and drink coffee, and you know, or you know, and then you know, just the aside from that, you know, going to conventions at the Burbank Hilton. Back in the day, there was a music industry conference called Foundations Forum.
Okay, yeah.
And there was a trade magazine called Concrete Foundations Forum. It was like CMJ. But they used to have their convention there.
In Burbank.
Yeah. The Burbank Hilton.
Right on.
You know, I was
so
like...
You mentioned a coffee spot. Right around the corner from where I live, there's this great place that it's like a gluten-free cafe grocery or something like that, and you can get regular food there as well. But they offer the gluten-free options and like vegan options as well.
Are you vegan?
No. My brother is.
But you eat vegan, right? If it's good, yeah.
If it's good food, I'll eat it.
Fun fact quiz.
Yeah.
Which Black Sabbath member is vegan?
Oh God.
But has been vegan for a long time. He's not like on any bandwagons. He's the real deal.
You know what? I'm going to
tell you?
Go for it. Tell me.
He's your butler.
Damn it, that was my guess.
You can kind of tell, like, he's kind of like free-spirited, like, right? Like, you know, super positive guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a tough lifestyle. You know, and my brother has been doing it for a while now. So when we get together and eat, I try and find places that are available for that. And Burbank's been starting to catch on.
Yeah.
You know, but that's one of the things that I like about Burbank is that there are a lot of these small mom and pop places, there's little cafes, or there's this place right around the corner called Yummy Cupcakes. It's just a cupcake place. They make cupcakes, but I take my little girl there, and we go there on like Sunday afternoons. And she picks out a cupcake, you know, and we just walk there. She gets what she wants, and we walk home.
And you know what's cool is that like walking there is part of the experience.
Yeah.
Because she's taking in her environment, her community, where she's from. And then she's seen the way her dad interacts with an independent business owner, you know, and like, it's like this ongoing like support system. Like you treat people with respect, and this is your community. That's like priceless.
And you have time to communicate as well, you know,
Right.
and when you're in the car, you're paying attention to the road, you're paying attention to the other cars, you're trying to get there fast, you're looking for parking, you're doing this, you're doing that. You know, there's lots of things that you're doing when you're in the car. And I'm not saying being in a car is bad, but, you know, going a couple minutes from your house, you know, if you can walk and you're spending that time with your loved ones talking, finding out what they're thinking about, what they did that day or whatever, you know, walking could give you that opportunity a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to take one more music break.
Cool.
We talked Burbank. And now when we come back, we're talking car-free lifestyle, walking, red line, and all the other cool things about being car-free in LA. But I want to ask you, Jason, do you have any Jason Weiner music that we can listen to?
No. I didn't bring any of that.
I know there's some.
There is some. But one thing I'm going to play, there's this band called Moving Structures that they're a Los Angeles band. And they are an instrumental Los Angeles band. These guys are great. I saw them, their first show. It looked like it was their 1,000th show. They had a light show and everything. It was fantastic.
Wow. All right, so this is the final music break, but before that, I want to say that Los Angeles Nista episode 116 is brought to you by La Mascota Bakery, also El Cholo Restaurant, and the most renowned and best tarot card reader in the United States is now reinforcing Los Angeles Nista. Based out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, she was an Angelino. Her name is Air Dream Spaeth, EIREDREAM SPAETH on Facebook. Intense tarot card reading. Invest in yourself. Find her on Facebook. Seek her out. Pay for a session. You'll be totally immersed in awe. That's all I got to say. All right, here we go.
Everybody's competing me, strung out and scouted disease, one out and missing their teeth. Everybody's got the staff, West Valley, bowler, and mad, that's like a babe. Hey, I've been walking down in the road, oh hell, this shit's gonna hurt, I'm not a baby. Everybody hit from the next, wishing for burning this, come get your pull on this, I'm
Hey, welcome back to the 116th episode of Los Angeles Nista. Jason Weiner from Crowded Head Industries. How are you, man?
Doing great, Eddie. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We talked about your amazing company and the asset management. We talked about how Los Angeles geography and Mother Nature have not let you down.
That's for sure. I love it out here.
That's cool. That's cool. Great discussions in between the breaks, too. In addition, the final thing I want to talk about with you here is how you choose to use the public transportation infrastructure here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, coming from the Washington, D.C. area, I got used to using public transportation at a young age and being on it all the time. And so when I came out here, it was really important to me that I figured that out. And so if I need to go to Hollywood, I live right off of the bike path. I get on the bike path and I go up to the North Hollywood station and I take the red line and I go into Hollywood. If I want to go to a show at night, if the metro takes me there,
you'll do it.
I do it. Yeah. Absolutely. The more I don't have to get in my car, the better
it is for you.
Absolutely. And the fact that one of the main reasons I wanted to live in Burbank is because I can walk anywhere I want. I went to the movies the other day and it's probably about a mile and a half away, whatever.
You get a nice walk to and from.
Yeah, eat a bunch of popcorn, some like nachos or whatever at the movies, and then walk home and not feel too bad about myself.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's one of the things that gravitated me towards you was your beliefs and ideals when it came to transportation. You were using the red line frequently, and do you find it? I mean, in comparison to other major cities, do you find it reasonably priced and safe?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel it's incredibly safe. The price is nothing. What's it, $1.50 anywhere I want to go?
So you came from Burbank to here, downtown Los Angeles, by LA Live, to do a Los Angeles Nisa episode. And how much did it cost you for transportation?
$1.50
each way.
And I'm going to take it back. So it's going to cost me $3 total.
No parking.
Nothing.
The lot right next to us is $10.
Mm-hmm. I got a nice brisk walk. Saw a whole bunch of restaurants I want to go to.
Dude, I mean, LA's exploding. Downtown LA's exploding. And there's like little venues popping up, galleries, like boutique shops, clothing stores, skateboard shops, cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that the subway to the sea will happen?
I hope it does. I really do, because the more places it can take me, the better as far as I'm concerned. I love the places it can take me currently, but if it can take it out to Santa Monica, I mean, that would be great.
Now that's my question. As a born and raised Angelino, to me, it's extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
To you, someone who's not from here but have called LA home with a family and a business, it's very important.
I think it would be absolutely
amazing. You get to the beach.
Great. Oh my gosh, yeah. If I could just get my kids up and we just walk up to the metro station to go to the beach, that would be fantastic. We don't have to get in the car.
Drive, freeway.
No, absolutely
$20 a park at the state beach.
Yeah, just get on the train and go. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about doing recently is just taking the weekend, getting on the Metro line, Metro Link, and going up to like Santa Barbara.
The MetroLink has a $10 weekend pass.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, exactly. You can go up to Santa Barbara. You can go down to Anaheim. It lets you out right at the Anaheim, at the Angel Stadium.
Dude, right there. So check this out. Baseball season's coming, right?
Right.
And you're a baseball fan.
Absolutely. But Dodgers, not Angels.
Dodgers, though. But check this out, though. I mean, if you want to go see things off the path of the Metro Los Angeles, MTA, you could buy a MetroLink ticket on Saturday morning or afternoon. It's $10 a day, unlimited per person.
Mm-hmm.
So, say like you went to took the red line from North Hollywood to Union Station where it ends. You go to the MetroLink booth.
Mm-hmm.
Say one ticket, whatever, hypothetically speaking, and with that one $10 ticket, you could say, okay, I'm going to go to Orange County today, and leave in the morning, go to Fullerton, Anaheim, Orange, do what I got to do or see what I got to see.
Sure.
Then I'm going to come back to downtown. And say it's like 2:00,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, let's go to Simi Valley.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can go anywhere you want. Basically.
Let's go to Santa Barbara.
One of the cooler things that I like about the pricing here is that it is like that. You can just do It's $1.50, or it's $3, or it's $5, or it's $10 for that.
It's not expensive, huh?
No, it really isn't. And if you go to Washington D.C., you're going to pay a different amount per where it is you're going.
Do you know more or less what it is?
So it's like 12 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents difference or something like that.
On top of that dollar we're talking about.
So, yeah, if I were to go from like the Vienna station on the Northern Virginia side, and I wanted to take it to Foggy Bottom, which is over by Georgetown in the Washington, D.C. area, if I wanted to take it like 3 stops further, it's going to be like 30 or 40 cents more, something to that effect. But here, it's $1.50 one way, $1.50 the other way. That's it. You know, I don't have to stand in front of a map and do math and figure out, like, okay, I'm going to do this and that. No. Yeah, it's perfect.
And that's what's funny is, like, people complain about it like that. Like, oh, you $5 day pass. It's like, dude, what are you talking about?
It doesn't smell like urine either.
It's clean. No. Let's compare it.
I mean, let's go up to San Francisco. You know, let's get on the BART and like try not to vomit while you're on it. You know, it is. I love it down here. It's
Last time
great.
I was on the BART, I think it was like 2008.
Yeah,
I was up there on business and I was just like this.
Yeah, it's terrible. I swear, it's seconds as a urinal. It's not. It's not meant to sit down. You can't sit on those seats. Yeah. But here, it's great. It's not. There's not graffiti. There isn't trash.
It's very clean.
It's very clean.
Listen, I've taken my nephews. You know, we're both big Dodger fans, and you know, I'll get all the Dodger tickets or Clipper tickets. I'm a huge Clipper fan. I'll go get them in Whittier, and I'll take the bus, the line 10, from Painter and Whittier all the way to it ends on Atlantic and Beverly by the 60 and Atlantic. We get on the goal line. 18-minute ride to the Union Station, then get on the Dodger shuttle. Free ride. The Dodger shuttle is free. So if you're coming from, I mean, have you taken it?
No, I haven't. I've only
this season. That's the key.
Yeah.
So here's what you do: North Hollywood Station, all the way to Union Station. Don't go to Alameda where Olvera Street is. Go to Vignes on the back.
Yeah.
And what you do is you just show them your ticket. One ticket per person, free ride.
Nice.
And then it departs, and then they're like every 10 minutes.
That's great.
Up till like an hour before the game, up till 4th inning, and then they start at 7th inning again.
Yeah.
So then they have a designated lane coned off. And so you don't have to wait on Sunset Boulevard traffic. And when you go past the booth where you pay, they take you to the center field back door.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not even thrown off in the middle of the parking lot. It's like right to the back.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, that's great. It is. It is. I've been very lucky. All the Dodgers games I've gone to, I've been with somebody that had one of those really great parking passes that's like lets you out right at that place.
Well, that's because all these successful people are hiring Crowded Head Industries too.
I feel very, very lucky that when I went out and started this company, I relied only on my reputation of what I've done. I didn't go out and advertise. I relied on the people that I had done business with in the past wanting to do more business with me and bringing it to me. And I've been really lucky with that. They've shown me a lot of love.
That's great. That's great. Well, Jason, I want to thank you so much for being a part of Los Angeles NISA 116.
Thank you very much, Ed.
I think this is the first Burbank episode ever. I'm going to look at the archives, I do believe.
Yeah?
Yeah. And,
woohoo!
And I'm excited about your company and what it offers, Crowded Head Industries. You want to give any websites? Facebook?
If you go to crowdedheadla.com and you want to send us an email about your project, we can get started talking about how we can get you on the right path to digital asset management.
And thank you for elaborating on Burbank and your choice of taking public transportation in Los Angeles, because that's what we're all about.
You got it. You're welcome. Thanks, Eddie, for having me on here.
Thank you.